part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Support for Podcast 616 is brought to you by Newark and Zanesville AutoBody. Safe, reliable collision repairs are their business. Local, family-run, and veteran-owned business serving Newark, Ohio, and Zanesville, Ohio, and surrounding areas. And guess what? They work with all insurance providers to make your experience hassle-free. Plus, ask about their special discounts for U.S. military veterans. Visit them today at AutoBodyOfNewark.com and AutoBodyOfZanesville.com to get your repair started. Their iCar Gold Class team of skilled collision repair technicians will make your vehicle like new again. Welcome back, everyone, to Podcast 616, the official podcast of Earth 616. I am your host, Damon Royster, and today we are wrapping up our conversation about X-Men 97 with Episode 10, Tolerance is Extinction, Part 3, a.k.a. Where the hell did they go? It's been an amazing time talking about X-Men for 10 hours, essentially. 10 hours straight for me. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've got two fantastic guests to help me land this X-Bird. My first guest, fourth time on the podcast, a real joining the four-timer club. Let me go through their credits. You heard them about the Eternals, which I don't think anyone listened to that episode. Sorry. But then you also heard them talk about Daredevil 2003, a perfect film, and if you ask me. And they have already expressed their thoughts about the mutants with the movie, The New Mutants. But here to talk about something good, we have for your ears Chicago LA comedian who loves making online videos and who loves watching superhero and mutant related things. And he's a raging Morbius fan. Enough accolades. Please welcome to your ears, Jesse Kendall.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much, Damon.
No
I
problem.
am a Morbius fan.
Wow, Jesse, that's wild to learn about you. How are you? Are you enjoying the X?
Oh, yeah.
97?
Enjoying the X big time. It really satisfies a lot of fixes. They give us dozens of cameos, more than we could have ever wanted or needed. So yeah, you really get anything. They're crossing over, you get a lot of Avengers coming on, and it feels weird because we've never seen it, but I love it.
Agreed. We'll get to the Avengers and how
Yeah,
they're
for sure,
fucking sellouts. My second guest, you remember him. He was just here talking about X-Men 97. We had him on for the pilot. This second guest is back for the finale. He's his words, my good pal and my back pocket emergency podcast guest, LA improviser and producer, Daffy Duck tank wearing mofo, Alex Honnet. Welcome to the podcast. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is so for the listener, I have a Daffy Bugs Bunny basketball jersey that I got for $20 at like a thrift store a few months ago that hangs on my back wall. It's very embarrassing when I'm on work Zooms and it is like unblurred for some reason if it like gets reset or something like that. And was like, oh, so you like Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny? It's like, yeah, I guess. I don't wear that though. It just hangs in honor from my rafters.
Yeah, high on your rafters.
It's a cool jersey though. It's very cool.
It's very cool. For me, it's the fedora that hangs over it that makes it seem like that's the ensemble you
Okay,
put together.
it's not a fedora. This is I was drunk doing wine tasting and I was getting too much sun, so I bought a little wine like cowboy hat that doesn't really fit me very well, but it still hangs there as well because I have nowhere else to put it. You guys want me to put it on? This won't be a treat for the listener. Maybe take a screenshot so you can show them, but I'll put it on for you. 1 second.
I always want people to wear hats. Jesse, would you agree
Oh, yeah.
that that's true about me?
Yeah, you're a hat guy.
I'm a big hat guy. Wow. Pharrell Williams joining the chat.
Holy shit.
I know. This is very powerful. It's sort of my like white girl wine wasted hat.
Sort of.
More
Okay,
like Jeepers Creepers.
Everybody smile.
Have you guys seen Jeepers?
Jesse, what were you saying about Jeepers Creepers?
Oh, the scary monster in Jeepers Creepers. Oh, now it looks like white girl wasted.
We're doing a new angle on it.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. Yes. Everybody, if you're a fan of me, you know I love hats. Jesse's got so many hats behind him, but to live in a world where everyone wore hats is a dream come true. And speaking of dreams, Magneto and Professor X are having a little dream talk. We're diving right in. This is part 3 of the finale. Where catch up. Um, Alex Honnet, from the pilot to the finale, did you think we would end up here reliving the moment Professor X and Magneto have this conversation about being mutants?
I didn't really. One of the things that I've been really impressed by for the whole series is how little of it I have expected to happen, but like how much of it, like when it does happen, it's like that makes so much sense. Like it's just like sort of so perfectly plotted out. So starting here, I also loved the music cue at the beginning. What was it, the birds, where it's like to like let us
Mhm.
know it's like the classic Vietnam War sting or something like that you
Mhm.
put like before, like it's like wow, the 60s sort of a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But they having that conversation, I thought it was really cool to show them as like younger people and being like back before like mutants were even widely known about, before it was like a known phenomenon, and they're sort of discussing it as this like secret hush hush thing.
Mhm.
That was rad. Just see that like initial moment where they kind of, I think it was right there where they like sort of admitted to each other that they were mutants, right? That's what was going on, or was that later in the episode?
Oh, that was here. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Where there, it's like I don't know how you feel, Damon. To me, we talked about this on the first episode. Bo DeMeo, the showrunner, gay black guy, grew up in an adopted family. It's inseparable to me, like the kind of like authenticity he brings to these sorts of like moments of like not having experienced it myself, but it feels very real. Of like two guys sussing out like something that they're different about each other. That experience felt so lived in and so real. I was
Mhm.
totally drawn in, where it's like they're kind of like trying to feel each other out, like, can I trust you, is this what's going on? And then like I'm a mutant too, like the same experience you would have as like a gay person back then potentially. I thought it was like rad. I thought it was so right on.
Rad is the word. It fucking rocks.
Yeah.
Because like before Grinder, this is what you would have to do. You would have to kind of just like do this little dance of like, I mean, I don't mind mutants. Do you mind mutants? Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't mind mutants either.
seems like maybe you're cool or something like that. There's some kind of signifier. Like I've got a vibe, got a feeling that maybe you're like me a little bit, but I can't
Mhm.
come out and say it because it could ruin my life, like to be
Yeah.
different in that way. So watching that kind of play out, I thought it was like really well done and like very interesting to watch, specifically between Magneto and Professor X, these two people whose in the world of the show, like existence has shaped the two paths for mutants to go down in so many ways.
Yeah. Terrorist.
Yeah.
Kind of the only options. Jesse Kendall, let's get you in on this conversation. Professor X, Charles Xavier, same person, and then Magneto. Uh, how did you enjoy this scene? Yeah, how did you enjoy it?
I thought it was awesome. I love the that they're like having beers the whole time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like that's the setting for it. Just like kicking back, having beers. I think on a similar, quite intellectual note, I'm shocked Professor X is still bald in his younger form. Give him
Yes,
some hair.
and
When
also
when did he
Magneto
lose the
was
hair?
Magneto was always gray, just
Yeah,
always a white-haired person.
they like have the total agency to change the way they look as he is. And I think Magneto's hair is like shorter, which is like
Hmm.
one of the main giveaways, but also like yeah, Professor X, I just think they need to make a decision on where his hair was at throughout just the
Throughout time.
animated series and, the live action movies.
Yes, because when James McAvoy was young Professor X, there was a much more coiffed hair thing going
Yeah.
on. I think they can get away with it because this ultimately becomes like we're not. This isn't a flashback; it's in Magneto's mind, so maybe there's a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
bit of things
And
happening.
they are playing the birds in the background, so it's sort of like, old.
Something
Things
old
things were
happening.
different back then, those jangly guitars.
You just know you're in Vietnam when
Let me say this. Let me say this. People who have been listening to this podcast for years, thank you, Isaac Snyder. It's you. I've been saying it when we did Summer of X last year, where we watched all the X-Men movies. Thank you, producer Michael, for reminding me. I've always been a staunch reporter on the love between Professor X and Eric Magnus Magneto. The love is real. Put me in prison. I think they're in love. I think these are two men who are in love, and there's a whole rogue thing and a whole empress of the Shi'ar people, whatever. I don't know. I think their bond is real, and I just love the scene. I love that they came out to each other. It was a coming out scene, and
Mhm.
you can't tell me different. I'm sorry. Jesse's like foaming at the mouth. He's so upset, but I have to disagree. Sorry, Jesse. I'm sorry to do this to you.
No, I like the scene. It was mainly the hair thing that caught my eye. It's on my mind. No, I thought when Magneto, I liked when he revealed what his power was.
Mhm.
Talking about like controlling metal,
Meta.
and Meadow.
Meadow Soprano.
Yeah, he has complete control over. When he revealed it, I was like, oh, it's interesting. I wonder like how I would react if someone's initial mention of their power was like something as like unique as controlling metal.
Mhm.
Um, like I wondered to
That's a
myself,
really good point,
yeah, I
Jesse.
was like, would I kind of be like, oh, what is that? Or would I be like, whoa? I feel like Magneto's power is, you're always shocked by what he can do with it as, you learn more about X-Men. And I feel
Mhm.
like an initial reveal out of that, if I was Professor X, I'd be like, oh, okay.
So like
So I
metal
can,
stuff?
yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
you construct a lot.
But I think that's the interesting thing about Professor X is like because of his power of telepathy. Like I think he already knew. I think he was
Yeah.
already like peeking a
Mm.
little bit behind the curtains of Magneto's mind of like, I know what you can do. All that to say, kind of bearing the lead, this is not a flashback. This is Professor X is in Magneto's mind because currently things are falling apart in the present timeline. Alex, I know you haven't watched since the pilot, but a lot has changed. There's
I
a lot
know.
going
I
on.
came into this and I was like, what is going on? Oh my God.
Uh, Professor X is alive.
Where's Gambit? Like what is happening?
Wait, Alex, did you miss like the whole series in between the
No,
first
Damon's
and last?
he's being cute. I've been watching
Uh,
every week. I really love this show. I'm like so floored by it.
Agreed. Also, yeah, sorry, I forgot to ask. Jesse, you've seen every episode, yes?
yeah.
Okay. Whew. You.
Could you imagine, Jesse, if you were like, well, it seems pretty cool. I don't really know what's going on, but
Yeah, don't spoil anything. Don't tell
I'm
me
gonna
what
go
happens
back
to
and fill it back
Wolverine.
in.
I want to give a shout out to those who came on the podcast blind. That would be Emma Pope, Tim Lamphere, and Felicia McLeod. Thank you.
Whoa.
Thank you to those three who came in only watching their episodes. We had a wild time. But yeah, so we're on asteroid M slash the Galapagos Islands. The team was split into two to handle the two issues of Bastion and Magneto. Yeah, Magneto turned off all the power in the world, just like a light switch. Um, and yeah, Professor X is trying to get into his mind to get him to activate the world again. That fucking looked great.
Mhm.
Jesse Kendall, producer Michael, he does research on all my guests, and you actually had an invasive mind situation, much like Magneto. Did it look like what it looked like when Professor X entered Magneto's mind and they were like floating in the sky? Like, walk us through what that feels like.
I actually hated the way the show did it. There's no yellow beams that come out of one's head when someone invades your mind. In
Mm,
fact, you just radiate like a nasty stench. When someone does that to your mind, you emit like all the toxicity in your body. So it's essentially like an audible fart scent that emits
mm.
from your body. There's no visual tied to it. Person who did it to me didn't repair my mind
Oh.
after they did it, so it left me real
Mhm.
fucked up. That's when I got into comedy. That's when
Mhm.
I was a astrophysicist before, and
Oh,
it
right.
sort of fucked my life,. But things have been going decently. I've been booking like small non-union stuff
Yeah.
lately, so I'm
And you're on
I'm
podcast
climbing
616?
back.
Yeah. Uh,
You guys are
powerful.
non-union.
That explains so much,
Yeah.
Jesse, just about like the smell that sort of follows you around
Yeah,
in
Yeah.
it's
general.
a curse, really.
I do. And I also enjoy the phrase an audible fart stench.
Yeah,
I
it's
I will
like
be think
synesthesia of sorts. You smell it and you hear it.
um, well, Professor X, he gets into Magneto's mind, turns the power back, uses Magneto's power to turn the power back on to the whole world, and we get a slew of cameos. Alex Honnet, do you want to run through who do you, like we see? And this is something they did in the original series. Whenever there's something global happening, you would see other
Mhm.
superheroes seeing it.
I like that.
Um, so Alex, any of these cameos stick out to you? These like Easter
Saw
eggs?
freaking your boy Daredevil. He was popping up.
Was he
My
stopping
boy.
looters? Like,
Yeah.
There was
What else can he
Daredevil.
do?
We saw the Silver Samurai. I think that's their
Hmm.
name in
Yep.
Japan.
Yep.
Who has some interesting ties to Wolverine's backstory. I don't know why you show the Silver Samurai unless you're trying to be like, wow, Japan. You know what I mean? Like that
Hmm.
felt like the only reason. He's got zero plot significance
None.
outside of a few things. I don't think we're going to see him again. We saw Cloak and Dagger in the
Yeah.
same vein as sort of like the Hell's Kitchen New York stuff going on. We saw a war room with a bunch of the Avengers. Iron Man was there. Captain America.
Yeah. Okay. Pause there. Um, Guarding President Kelly,
Mm.
who fucking sucks. I'm sorry.
There's a little weasel.
Little Weasel. He hates mutants. He's tried to
Mm-hmm.
kill mutants so many times, and he became the president, which I guess is, you know, prescient on the show's
Indicative of
part.
the world they live in, and maybe we live in. I don't know.
Hmm. Perhaps. But I just think the Avengers are a bunch of fucking sellouts because President Kelly basically has Iron Man and Captain America as his bodyguards.
Mhm.
I don't know, Alex, would you ever sell out this hard? Would you ever like compromise your beliefs like this?
I've had to at certain. I don't know. There's something very interesting about that idea of like if you're operating within the system, you have to compromise in some way because if the Avengers aren't
Mm,
there, like guarding the president, like I mean, the Avengers essentially in this are like cops, that's sort of the way they're framed. And
yeah.
even in the rest of the Marvel series, like that's the deal. It's like they work with the systems of power to try to preserve them in some ways because that is the framework in which the most freedom happens, most things happen for the most people. But this series is sort of like saying, like, what about the people who don't fit into that like little tiny package? Like who's fighting for them, who's advocating for them? Who is that? And that's the X-Men who have to go outside of things sometimes to be able to actually make real change happen and protect people like them. So you just sort of see the Avengers sitting there like with their little flaccid dicks in their hand, like doing what they can do, kind of, in that context. And earlier, I mean, you saw Captain America, and he seemed in like an earlier episode when he sort of seemed like he's like, look, I can't do anything about this. Like you with Rogue, it's like if you want to chase this down, go for it. But like, he doesn't really like try to stop her that much. So I think he knows like what's up and what's going on and how he has to preserve that link to power to be able to like do his job a little bit. But
Yeah.
it like grinds his gears because it's not the right thing to do. So personally, have I compromised in this way? Yeah, I was the IO creative director for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I had to do that.
Michael, did
To
you get that? Did we get it on record? Finally. God,
Yeah, you nailed me. Congratulations, Damon. You've been trying to nail me for 3 episodes. You finally
it's a
got
lot of
it.
them.
But that feeling is very real of like when you're producing your own stuff, it's just like, okay, I'm just going to do the things that I like to do, that I want to do. I'm going to support the people I want to support. And when you're working for like a larger organization, you do kind of have to make compromise, be like, well, I don't like this, but I have a certain skill set that can maybe help this in some sort of way. And I have to kind of exist within a framework that's already set up that is not mine, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a skill you learn. I think I've been thinking about that a lot about like selling out in general. Like if any of us wanted to become, actual productive members of society, you kind of have to do that. Just get on board with what the boss wants.
Truly. Oh, damn. Now you're making me side with Iron Man in the Civil War movie. That sucks.
If
Well,
that's what happened, that's totally on you. I have presented as a neutral thing, and I think we're learning a lot about you with that.
well, you know what? I've always been on the side of the renegades. I like when people break rules, like Captain America in Civil War and the Harry Potter, Ron and Hermione and the Deathly Hallows. Um, on the other, because also when you're a renegade, it helps when fucking robo mutant future bastards like Bastion show up
Mm.
and try to fuck shit up. Let's go to the Galapagos Island. Jesse Kendall, it's not looking good. Bastion, so the power's back on, so the Prime Sentinels are like rising up again.
Yeah.
Every X-Man is like tangled up in a Sentinel tentacle, and then Cable is just crying because his clone mama died, and he tried 200 times. Tried 200 times to save her.
Yeah, that was yeah.
Yeah,
Keep going.
Jesse.
Sorry.
Yeah, walk me through what happens. Because I think something's happening in the water. I'm not sure. I'm scared.
Yeah, I mean it's been like a week or 2 weeks since I saw the episode, but
Hmm.
I do recall Jean coming at the last minute to basically save um the X-Men on the island. And I remember like I'm just like her Phoenix Force basically saves them through her Phoenix Force, but I think I just get confused on the Phoenix Force and like
Yeah, totally.
what
Yeah,
her
same.
control over it is and if it's for like sometimes it's for good and I'm like I thought it's like inherently an evil force that she always has to contain and yeah,
I
the
thought it was
fact
gone. I thought it
yeah,
was like all gone.
yeah, and also when Bastion takes Cable's arm and makes himself stronger, um because he rips Cable's arm off. I'm like, why isn't Jean able to stop this from happening when it happens? Um,
Well, that happens after. So yeah, Jean uses the Phoenix
uh,
Force and like
It seems like everything's resolved. Like it's
yeah,
like they beat
seems like it.
Bastion, we're good to go.
But it's like, does it just okay? Hold on, hold your goddamn horses, because isn't it
we all
just?
watched the episode 3 weeks ago. Just kidding.
I watched it an hour ago. Thank you.
Ooh,
But I do believe. Wait,
So Bastion's like fucking everyone up. And there's like Mr. Sinister makes Cable say a bunch of stuff. It's mortifying, so embarrassing. He's won completely. Jean Grey shows up as the Phoenix, puts the thing
the
back on Bastion's
collar.
head. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. So that they can control what's going on. They can sort of sever the ties to all of the
Prime Sentinels.
prime
Sentinels.
sentinels. Exactly. That happens. So Bastion is defeated, like completely defeated. And the Phoenix Force goes away. Seems like I felt it there all the time. Like I guess it's always below the surface. Incredibly unsatisfying. Just sort of like, okay, I guess this is like something she can do sometimes. But
It
then Bastion's back.
Bastion's back. We'll get to him coming back. But I will about the
Bastion's back. All right.
Na, na, na,
Eh.
damn Alex. You
na,
become a different person
na,
when you wear
na,
that
na,
hat.
na, na.
Uh,
I love this, Alex.
you look like Dick Tracy. It makes sense because I was wondering why we were talking about the Phoenix. I feel like in every episode, it's like, oh yeah, the time you were the Phoenix. Do you remember Jean? You were the Phoenix. Like every episode this season, we were reminded that she had this one thing, and I was like, why are we talking about this? Um, and now it makes sense. So when she does this, it's like, oh right, the Phoenix. Um, it is a little Deus Ex Machina for me. I'll say that.
Mm,
Yeah.
Deus Ex Phoenix.
Phoenix, yeah.
But hey, it works. And honestly, I like this for Jean. Jean in the original cartoon was there to faint in my memory. It was just
Mm.
like, Scott, it's too much. So I like that she was a little bit more of an active force this season.
Yeah, that bowling alley
Yeah.
fight against Sinister last episode or something like that. I was like, this
Where
rocks.
Yeah.
oh, we have to talk about what happened to Sinister. Alex Connor,
Yeah.
can you walk me through Mr. Sinister's final scene in this season?
She like rips all of the mutant DNA that he's extracted over the years from him to like big up himself and keep himself young and stuff like that so that he can have all these powers. And he
Mhm.
turns into this little shriveling like old creature, that's just like disgusting and doesn't have any power and is completely weak. And you sort of
Yes.
see this exploitative like character kind of taken away. In some ways, sort of like just like an older person preying on people's youth to stay relevant over the years. That,
Mhm.
this like scientist who has all of these like has just been feed like a vampire, really feeding off the young, now is like reduced to like the truth, the core of like nothing at the core of it.
Absolutely fantastic. Um, I loved it. And it was a great moment for Morph, which, fans of the original series know that Morph was kidnapped by Mr. Sinister for a couple episodes, blah, blah, blah. And Mr. Sinister's like, show me my face. And Morph just matches the ugliness in him.
Mhm.
And he's like, this is all I see. You old prune looking bitch.
Just too bad because Sinister was looking good before.
You feel this way?
He was
The
looking
shark
Hollywood
teeth?
hot.
Yeah, totally.
He's been in Hollywood for like 6 years. He's gotten all the necessary improvements.
Yeah, you really
Sinister
see.
Sinister was daddy before that.
Honestly, yeah, Mr. Sinister does follow the LA trajectory of most. I would say.
Well,
most
and that's the
kids.
Bo DeMeo thing. This guy has like created this sort of like stand-in for this like weird like predator, that sort of just sits around. And then like when you really cut them down to size, like they're nothing. They just are living off the sustained sort of like reputation that they've like created by feeding off of like other people's talent and stuff like that. But at their core, they're just this rotten little shrivelly thing.
All I can say is I can't not wait for that to be my destiny, but I'll do better. No one's gonna catch me.
Hey, it's my destiny now. And let me tell you, it's great.
Yikes. So then, yes, Bastion rips off the arm of Cable. Jesse Kendall, was this not the funniest thing in the whole season of ripping someone's arm off and then slapping them in the face with it? Isn't that hilarious? I feel like that's hilarious at its core.
Yeah, no, it's pure comedy right there. I gotta hand it to the writer of the episode.
It's a classic stop hitting yourself kind of moment.
And that's what I mean. That's what I love about this series is, I mean, I'm getting kind of serious here, but I just love that they factor in humor to the show. Really effectively. It's like a cartoon. It felt more and more like a cartoon for the adults as the series went on. When it first started, I was like, it feels kind of basic and
Mhm.
kid-like, and then it just like became so much more as the series progressed, and
Oh yeah.
that shocked me, and I really enjoyed it. But I was worried at first because I was like, "Oh, I get it." That's kind of like the show I watched when I was little. It was, they kept it basic, but it got more and more complex as it went on, to the point where it wasn't that anymore.
The big moment for me, Jesse, was when like Storm was healing with Forge, sort of in the Southwest or whatever, and they show them both riding horses as like, and I was like, that is not a child's idea of like what like liberation and healing looks like. Like that's a very sort of romantic adult kind of thing. I was like, this is like she's getting her groove back in a really cool way.
God, I love the Storm arc.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Incredible. Oh yeah, it's been a blast, and I'll save my final thoughts for the end of this season. But there's this moment where Bastion takes the arm and then he fuses with it to create, I guess, Archangel wings. And then he's like, "Hey, I got a great plan. I'm gonna take Asteroid M and shove it into Earth and just kill everybody." I don't know, kind of crazy. It's crazy of me to say it. I think it's a crazy plan. I think Bastion might be losing it. Sorry. I know you're fans.
Yeah, Bastion for me, Bastion is daddy.
Bastion is daddy. Or as Jean and Nightcrawler both say, the future incarnate. So it's nuts. Bastion is racing to Asteroid M where the other X-Men are waiting, leaving all the other X-Men behind. It's stressful. It's a lot. It's possibly too much. And so we got to take a break. Podcast 616 is going to take a break right now. And when we come back, we're going to talk about all the X-Men loveliness of the second half of this episode, the reunions, the powers, Rogue's Thunderclap, which is my favorite thing. I wish I could do that. So keep it right here to Podcast 616. We'll be right back after this break. Gentlemen, across the nation, I have an urgent message for you. This episode of Podcast 616 is brought to you by Manscaped. The brand that took your balls to space is now launching them into the Ultra Sphere, introducing the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Featuring a new cutting-edge design and next-generation dual skin-safe blade heads for different shaves, it's pretty much a spaceship to take your boys downstairs to the next level. Join the 9 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with a brand new The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code PRESSPLAY. That is 20% off plus free shipping with the code PRESSPLAY at manscaped.com. Your balls have been through enough. It's time to go ultra with Manscaped.
Hey everyone, this is Don Mike Mendoza, the host of Producing While Asian. Join us in Season 2 for more conversations with actors, artists, producers, and more from Broadway, Hollywood, and beyond, every other Wednesday on the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we're back. Alex Honnet, as I always say, producer Michael, he does thorough research on our guests. And you actually were on the design team of Asteroid M. Can you talk to me about what went into developing this structure?
I think when you're dealing with a big ego like Magneto specifically, it's almost like, we've all been hired to do our job, but you're just like completely handcuffed the entire time, like in an ideal situation when I've been involved in projects, you get hired by someone and then you're allowed to do your job, like the team kind of runs wild, does these things, and you're responsible for bringing like the best possible version of your work to the client at the end of the day, and then you kind of suss out with them. But this was like a very different process. It was every step of the way he was involved, he was making decisions, he was doing things, and he doesn't have a background in fucking asteroid design. You bring on all this team to do that, like that's what we're here to do for you, sir. So the core sort of placement, like the layout of everything, it's like in a big rock, which like the whole point is that like it's this massive floating thing that can like lock into orbit. But within that was kind of the only thing from our initial design that made it there. Everything else was Magneto. And I guess to Magneto's credit, it did turn out pretty good, like all things considered.
It looks great.
It looks great, but clearly there's some problems as we see in this episode.
Yeah, got a huge weak spot in the gravity core. You take that out, the whole thing just goes crashing
and
down.
it's vulnerable to fucking missiles. It's like, okay, what's the thing that Earth has that they could possibly take us down with? Missiles. That's it. Like, and Magneto's like, don't worry about it. I have magnetism. I can take care of this stuff if it ever comes up.
Yeah.
No, Magneto. Like, we're supposed to design this so that there's a failsafe in place in case you're not around or like incapacitated. Then they can just like, I don't know. I'm not fully over that process, but I do.
Clearly.
Yeah. Well, it sucked. It really, really sucked.
Yeah, Magneto's like, I'm never going to be in a psychically induced coma. I'll just wave away any missiles sent our way.
In a meeting one time, it's like, what if you're in a psychically induced coma and you can't wave the missiles away? And it's like, that's never going to happen, And then pretty much shortly after that, the whole team was sort of let go, and they brought in sort of a contractor to kind of finish it up, and they got the one they got out of the whole thing. So fine, Magneto. It is a little satisfying to see it all play out how I thought it would.
I'm glad there was justice for you and the work that you put in. So we're on Asteroid M, and question for the pod: are the X-Men were just cool? Like Rogue's like on their side again? Because like last episode, Sunspot and Rogue were Team Magneto, and now we're all just friends. We're all good. You buying this? That's my question. You buying it?
Who are you asking? Like just
you,
generally?
Jesse. Answer me. God damn it!
Okay. I didn't. I think
I just had to riff for 2 minutes about Asteroid M. Jesse.
no, I
Come
know.
on.
I figured. I didn't mind it. I think Rogue with Gambit's death has been going a lot, like going through a lot. So I think her intentions are very, personal to her, and I think whatever way she goes,
True.
it doesn't throw me off too much, and I think, her switch back here. I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much. Plus I'm a huge Rogue fan. I think,
Same.
just through this entire series, I think her powers are super cool for the show, and versus what they do in live action with her. And so I was just happy to see her involved. Um,
I Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not mad that she's back together with the team, but I think I was just upset that she kind of like turned her back on them. It just felt like every episode would kind of go back and forth with Rogue, where like she was
Yeah.
upset that Gambit died, and there was that beautiful moment where like Kurt and the team found her in the rain and they like cried it out. And then she's going with Magneto, and then she's back with the X-Men. It's just I'm getting whiplash and
mhm.
just want to know if anyone else felt that way.
She's emotional. I think her character, a lot like me, her moods change day to day. So she's just going with what she's feeling.
I
No,
the
I hear that. I hear that for
The
sure.
thing for me, and this is maybe my only like overall note, because the series has done such a good job of like drawing from the specific era of X-Men that I was really invested into. It's basically like this was like when I was reading the comics and doing all this stuff.
Mm.
And the removal of Wolverine's adamantium skeleton, which is like in the comics like this massive deal and like kind of the focus of everything that's going on. And that's partially because I think Wolverine was made such a massive character in the late 90s. He was
Yeah.
like the bread and butter for the X-Men for so long. So it was really handled in a way of like, we're going to introduce this new kind of like arc for Wolverine to kind of go through without adamantium. And I feel like it was almost like an afterthought in this, is that like you see that happen at the end of the last episode, and then he's just like all fucked up, for this whole episode. But that is like extremely traumatic and bad, and could be the focus of the full episode if there wasn't so much other shit going on. So that's maybe my only thing, is like that it was sort of handled in a way that minimize what was going on with Wolverine. It's just Cyclops being like, hang in there, big guy, do what you do, your healing thing. It's like this guy
Yeah.
is like, he's gonna die. Like this is his whole persona removed in some ways.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately also why I was like, we're just cool. All of a sudden, like
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine stabs Magneto, then Magneto rips out the adamantium from his body, and it's like, okay, let's team up. Which I guess you have to when a killer robot mutant man is coming to kill you and the planet. But I don't know.
Yeah, they are being a little casual of like, well, looks like all's well that ends well. You know what I mean? Time to
Yeah,
get off Asteroid M now that we've returned power to the world. Mission accomplished.
but I guess that's why they're the X-Men and I'm not, because I would stay petty. I was like, you just
Yeah.
Stay
you.
petty.
I was like, no, I'm still mad.
Mhm.
Uh,
Similar to Rogue's thing, I think. You got someone like Bastion who's, the world could end at any moment. I think a lot of that drama has to be put aside. Um,
yes. Which talk about Sebastian shows up. We get a little fighting action going on.
Good
I
fighting too. Good action.
good. I love the little thunderclap thing that Rogue does.
Mhm.
The CW TV show Supergirl is not good, but Supergirl would often do that thunderclap move where she would just clap her hands and it would create this shockwave, and it made me very excited. I think it's such a great way to make what I think super strength is the most boring superhero power out there,
Mhm.
because like you're strong.
yeah.
Ugh, snooze. But when they find other ways to showcase it, I love that. That's very fun.
Well, and
Yeah.
they fight specifically on the moon too, and see. I think it's a temple to Apocalypse, right? That's like the first
Yes.
thing right there. Is like they're fighting on the moon. There's a temple to Apocalypse, and you're sort of like, oh, that's interesting. They just for me in that moment, I was like, this is kind of an interesting choice, just to like show this like random piece of like world building almost of like, oh yeah, they're fighting in these weird ruins that like I've never seen before.
I feel like yes. I think we might have seen them before, because I think the X-Men, don't they, like they're always on the moon. I feel like they're
They're
constantly having
always on the moon, these
they're always on
X-Men.
it's like, get out of there.
It's so boring on the moon.
Is what?
It's so boring on the moon. I would never chill on the moon.
No,
It's
it
just
sucks.
go to like a different planet, maybe,
Mhm.
where there's at least like geysers and volcanoes and weird storms.
We spent some time on the like some Shi'ar in the Shi'ar Empire, and that shit looked rad. Like go
Yeah.
Yeah.
there.
Go there. I also, yeah, I really thought we would see the Shi'ar come back
Mm.
in the finale. Like pissed that Xavier just up and left them. I thought we'd see the Shi'ar, and I also thought we'd get Gambit back. But I guess he really dead, which is crazy.
He really did, though.
Other highlights from this fight? Any powers speak to you? There was one more moment I would want to talk about, but anybody else?
You tell us, man. I think it's, Bastion being ground beneath the boot of the Sentinel, I thought was pretty rad.
Oh, yes. When the Sentinel came in and it was Beast driving it.
Oh,
as he
this
did
was the
in
big
pilot.
Cyclops moment too, where he just like goes fucking. You see sort of like the big. No, maybe that's later. But
When I think that's when
Bastion and Cyclops are like fighting. And he gets like the fat beam going on him.
yeah.
The
I love
Marvel
when
versus
Cyclops
Capcom
goes
fat beam.
Fat beam. Oh my
Fat-
god, it's
that
it's
fat
the best.
beam. I really liked. I think we saw Jubilee finally advance her powers a little bit because doesn't she take out one of Bastion's wings with one of those spiral fireworks
Mm-hmm.
that we saw when she was Future Jubilee in episode 4? And I was like, yes, girl, be relevant, please.
Yeah, your firework power. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt this whole season.
Mhm.
Why are you part of the main team?
Oh no, wait! Alex. I think you were right because that's when Cyclops has like, "You'll never hurt my family again."
Yeah, exactly. And that I think that too. So that's like his move from the Marvel versus Capcom video game. That like, so to borrow from that, I think is pretty rad. Just be like, oh, this is this other thing that Cyclops has done in the interim that was so cool looking, and we're just gonna like totally cop that and acknowledge it. I think that's rad.
Oh yeah, they've been doing that. Like Rogue had a moment where she had a Marvel vs. Capcom move shown, I think in episode 7, when she was fighting that tank. But shout out to Nightcrawler and Sunspot. They did some cool stuff. Nightcrawler fucking rocks. Meanwhile, back on fucking Earth with the worst president ever. Yeah, I said it, President Kelly. I can't stand his ass.
Not my president.
Not my president. Also, where are his eyes? He's just glasses. That's suspicious. They go through with the Magneto protocols, and fucking Cap tries to stop him, but can't do it. Iron Man and Captain America just stand by, and they launch these fucking missiles. Sorry, I'm upset. President Kelly sucks. There, I said it.
Well, it's great too, as we sort of head into like the third act of the episode with this thing. What the show does really, really well is kind of showing that Magneto is right in a lot of ways. Maybe his methods aren't the right way to go about it, but like at the end of the day, there is an us versus them mentality, and President Kelly is going to choose preserving humanity, in this sort of situation. So he's operating off of the best information he has available, or maybe the way that seems to like leave him less accountable from a political perspective of like, I did everything I could. Like I didn't just rely on this band of mutants, which, if the X-Men fail, everyone's going to die. So he's kind of doing the last thing he has available to him,
Yeah, I would hate for him to rely on these band of mutants who have never failed him before.
Yeah, it's almost like, he's bad or something. Or humans are bad.
I don't like him. I know producer Michael's wearing a President Kelly pin right now, so that's, it's tense. It's tense in the call.
I like the pin, honestly. I'm a President Kelly guy. I totally get it.
You're a President Kelly guy?
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, I met him and he was incredibly kind to me. You know what I mean? So I don't have anything against the guy.
Yeah, great. What did he say to you?
It was just like at a campaign stop, and he was like, "I hope I can kind of hear about it." And I was like, "Oh, absolutely, sir." It was great. It was a pancake breakfast in Iowa. It was so much fun.
You're so easily bought. That's all it took. Jesus.
Good pancakes.
The Sentinel shows up, and Bastion's like, "You bitches are toast." And then bloop bloop bloop, Beast is in there. I'm gonna quote Beast right now. This made me laugh. Beast says, Greeks loved horses and irony. Am I crazy? Beast slaps more in my 30s than he did when I was a child. I'm like, I get this. This is funny.
I think they've figured out Beast more.
Yeah.
You think
since
so?
we were children. Yeah, they've given him more because I think they know how smart he is, and intellect I think is tied with comedy. Not always, but Yeah, I think they use that to their advantage and give him some cool lines. And yeah, he's just it's hard to know the extent of Beast's powers. So I think they're like flexing it in other ways. With funny
Yeah.
lines and just using him in really effective ways. Like I liked this wasn't this episode, but when he had that little like arc, that one episode with the reporter in Genosha,
Trish.
where he
Mm.
like they kind of have a good vibe, but then he like kind of calls her out and is like "fuck you."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just yeah, that was a beast moment I really liked.
Oh yeah. Full beast mode. We
Wow.
yeah. I go there. Yeah, this podcast has talked, and by this podcast I mean me. I've talked a lot about Trish Tilby, and I think she sucks, but that's
Who's
just me.
Trish Tilby?
The reporter.
Oh, okay.
That's
I
her
mean,
full
they're
name.
setting her up with like that. Trish Tilby is such a like little goody two shoes teacher's pet name already. She's kind of cursed.
We didn't really get a follow up because she also became a Prime Sentinel,
Yeah.
and I'm glad. I'm glad. I don't need what is that thing? Not coverage. Closure. I don't need closure on Trish. Um. Okay. So they're fighting Bastion. He's like getting squished by a Sentinel leg, and then Cyclops is like, "Wait, what if we did peace instead?" I feel like I've seen a lot of comments online being people were being very mad about this. It's hard for me to like this is right. I do think Cyclops is right, but I see a lot of people who are like, "No, you should kill him because he was trying to kill you." And I think I'm gonna just post this as a debate topic. This I think is where the metaphor breaks down between,
Mm.
you know, queerness, gender, race, and mutantness. Because in a comic book world, yeah, these people are trying to kill you, so you should probably kill them before they kill you. But there's this like idea of peaceful, almost pacifist negotiations, which yeah is what we should do in the real world. But I think in a comic book, I want to see some bitches get fucking marked.
Well, there is this like interesting idea of the at the sort of core of the X-Men, there's like sort of the 90s elementary school understanding of like Martin Luther King Jr., you know what I mean? Of like this
Yeah.
deified version of him and stuff like that. And I think is really what the X-Men buys into in this, I have a dream speech and stuff like that. And I don't know if that version of reality like exists the same way in 2024, having seen everything that's happened over maybe the last decade.
Yeah,
And
and uncovering things that happened before.
yeah, exactly. And then learning that like, oh, Martin Luther King Jr. was a radical. Like he like all these sorts of things that have sort of been like sanitized about like that version of like his dream and things like that that sort of espoused the Professor X thing. Like
Mhm.
I'm not sure if even in the real world, like the ruthless way to look at it is like Cyclops is like we can make this ourselves more powerful by like co-opting this guy's like power and forgiving him, like enlisting him to our cause kind of a thing. But I don't think that's what's going on. I do think it is that like old school kind of like Christian turn the other cheek, kind of thing a little bit more. And I don't know if that rings as true to me now. Those ideals maybe as they once did.
Wow. I hear you. Thank you for ripping your shirt off during that whole speech.
It
So
was
angry.
so hot in here.
I had to rip this thing off.
Yeah,
He kept the hat on though. That was
Oh, the hat has not moved.
Hat's never coming off.
I don't know. It's interesting. This is an interesting thing to think about. Which I guess that's the whole point of the X-Men. Um, I am forgetting what happened to Bastion though. He dies. What happens to
The
him? Does he blow
the
up?
missiles show up. There's like a whole thing of like the missiles show up and they blow up the core, and Professor X and like Xavier are still like locked in their brains for a while. There's a lot of cool scenes of them sort of like negotiating what's going on, trying to kind of like uncover what's happening with Magneto and like bring him back to like a version of reality, because he's the
Yeah.
only one who kind of save it. And then Bastion, I think in the end is like still trying to like destroy everything. And
Mhm.
they're still trying to like get him on board, and then he does get like blown up, I believe.
It get
Yes.
blasted to a certain part of the moon or something, or sorry,
'Cause
I'm
like,
trying to recall.
I know this is so bad. Michael, you might have to cut all this. We sound so unofficial. I swear I watched it.
Let him hear
I
it.
just I'm just trying to remember, how do we get to the point where Rogue, Jean, and Storm are like flying out of the asteroid and like trying to push it back into space, because Preston Kelly and his missiles hit the asteroid
Mhm.
and it destroys the gravity core, which maybe that was the thing that did in Bastion.
Mhm.
So then it's plummeting to the Earth. The strongest women I know, Rogue, Jean, and Storm, are lifting it through the air. Jubilee gets blasted into space. Sunspot rescues her, and they fly down to Earth to join Forge and Cable at a diner, of all places.
Mm.
So it's crashing. Well, anyway, Bastion's out of the picture, so it's crashing down. We get this little moment between Jean and Scott. They do a little
And
psychic link to their
Cable.
son.
Oh my god.
I'd like to initiate a little acting challenge. We haven't done this in a while. It's a challenge for both Jesse and Alex. Jesse and Alex, can you both play Jean Grey and Scott Summers and talk to me, Cable, about just kind of recreate that scene where they're talking to Cable and saying goodbye to him. I'll let you decide who's who. I'll start. I'll get you started. Dad, stepmom, what are you guys doing here?
I know I'm not. I'm your full mom. I
Okay.
mean, I have all the memories of
She's not your
growing up.
mom.
So
She's the mom that stepped up, son.
Okay.
Not the
thanks,
stepmom.
Sai.
No problem,
Are you guys
Jay.
are you guys coming back to Earth?
No, we're gonna we're gonna get fucking blown up in a second, and we're really bummed out about it. But we're more bummed that we won't be there to see you age even more into the old man that we know you could be.
Older.
Older man.
Yeah, I got a few more years left. Damn. What was your favorite thing about being X-Men?
Having you.
And mine was
Think,
my fat beam that I got to do every now and again. I thought that was so sick. But having you is like close. It's really close.
you were with
Think-
me the whole time, Cable. The whole time you were gone in the future, you were fighting with us.
Thank you. Oh, wow, thank you. Again, I'm not yours. My mom's a clone.
Don't say
Don't
that.
don't do this.
She's your mom. She's not your
I've
stepmom. She's the mom that stepped up.
Thanks, Sai. And the Phoenix Force is just bubbling under the surface. Don't provoke me. I
Oh
don't
my
know when
God, the
it's gonna
Phoenix,
Do
the
not
Phoenix
do it.
Force again. Yawn.
Don't do
Okay.
that.
Wow, that's incredibly rude. We're trying to say goodbye to you right now, Cable.
Yeah, this hologram is hard to generate, Cable. It's very hard to generate and do this for you.
And also,
My
we're
real
supposed to be
my real
doing
mom could
stuff right
handle
now.
it.
Yeah,
Ugh.
we are literally in the midst of something, and we've taken the time and mental energy to create this hologram for you. Please.
To give all of us closure.
It's for the
And
viewers
scene.
too.
And for the viewers too.
Beautiful.
We're taking the viewers into mind.
And listeners, that's again, I just want to let you know, on podcast 616, we act. We act.
Is that what you pictured, Damon?
Word for word, yes. I could not have done it by myself.
It's pretty much the same thing that we saw sort of in that moment.
So this is the big sacrifice play, which I don't know, slaps better for me as a team sacrifice than like a solo hero like Iron Man, But just watching a group of people like, yeah, we're gonna go, much like Dido, they're gonna go down with this ship and they're not gonna put their hands up and surrender.
Well, and they did, like, it didn't need to be this way. Like, the humans, like, President Kelly did not need to enact the Magneto protocols, and now they're tasked with, like, saving the world again because of human ignorance and fear. You know what I mean? They had it. It was done. It was all set. It's done and dusted. And now to save the world from, like, the extinction, they have to sacrifice themselves. It's incredibly unfair.
No one said it was easy being a mutant. Or no one said it was easy being cheesy.
Apparently I saw, like, they show some, like, more superhero cameos in this moment. And there was one that I heard about on TikTok that was really cool. They show Peter Parker and MJ in a moment.
Yep.
Which were you going to bring that up, Damon?
I was not, but on my second view, I saw them. Yeah, I didn't catch them the first time.
No, me neither. But apparently, it's the two of them. Like, and the way the Spider-Man animated series ended, in the '90s was, like, we're gonna go the version of Madam Web from the show, not the most recent cinematic.
Not Dakota Johnson.
Not Dakota Johnson. It's like, let's go find the real MJ, the real Mary Jane. And so this is like closing the loop on that stuff from that series of like, oh, he did find her, and they're looking at this thing. They're looking at the news together.
Yeah. Oh wow, I didn't even realize. I don't think I finished the Spider-Man animated show.
Oh, I certainly didn't. I was trying to get laid then, dude. You know what I mean? That point?
No. No.
Is the Spider-Man show good? Like, was it?
I liked it when I was a little kid, I think.
Okay.
I think too much voiceover for me. Too much voiceover. Magneto wakes up.
I read into that. Like like too much dialogue, like, or it's just like every character voice is like insane.
Okay, Jesus Christ. Fine. I'll say I do have an idea. I do have a thought. It was too much voiceover, and Spider-Man wears a mask so you can't see his mouth. And I was always confused, like, is this voiceover or is he talking? It was very unclear, and I was watching it before I knew how to activate closed captioning. So it always threw me off. That's what I'll say about that. Magneto wakes up, brings the asteroid back to space, but then the whole thing blows up. X-Men, presumed dead, 6 motherfucking months later. My girl, Bishop, time travels, meets Forge, and it's like, buddy, we gotta get the band back together.
I know. That was such a funny scene. I was like, okay, here we go. Let's go.
I just want to say I love Bishop. We have not talked about Bishop a lot, but maybe we'll talk about Bishop.
Where did he go? When Forge didn't know him, I was like, oh yeah, I guess Bishop hasn't been around for a little bit. Did he go to the future or something like that with Nathan?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what happened. I'm realizing as I'm talking, that is exactly what happened. Excuse me. Sorry, David.
No, it's totally fine. But this is a huge moment because when we first met Bishop in the original series, we saw Bishop in his timeline, and he and Forge were like teammates and buddies. And what we're seeing now is like this is how they first meet. So it's, and I'm a big Doctor Who fan. If you don't want to know my Saturday after this recording, I'm going to watch the new episode of Doctor Who. And it's so cool to learn that this is how Bishop and Forge meet, how they forge their friendship.
I'm going to go fold some laundry. What are you doing, Jesse? After this on Saturday.
Oh my God, I don't know yet. I may edit.
That's great.
Boring, right?
Fucking boring.
Sorry, Damon. Keep on going.
Anyway, Bishop and Forge meet each other, and they're on a mission to find the X-Men. I'm just gonna
Jesse, what are you editing? What are you going to be editing?
Jesus.
These videos with Alan Giles.
Oh, great! I'm loving all the videos you've been putting out lately, especially the boy group that's like sort of has something sinister going on. Those are really funny.
Is insane.
Thanks, man. I didn't know really dive in, but
the X-Men. We see where they are in 3000 BC. Rogue Nightcrawler, Beast, Professor X, Magneto are in the Egyptian past, and then in the year 3960 AD, Jean and Scott find a teenage Nathan. Storm, Wolverine, Morph, where are they? We don't know. Hopefully we'll find out next season, because we don't know where they are, but I do know, and I don't know where the show is going. We do see Apocalypse in the present day. But what I can say, I know where this podcast is going, and this podcast is going into the final fuck, marry, kill of X-Men 97. So as we've done all season long, we've only done these characters from the show once. No one has been repeated, so we do have to stretch a little bit. Luckily, we have not done Bishop yet, so Bishop is on the table. Also on the table is the evil man, President Kelly. And finally, Asteroid M. So on the table, Bishop, President Kelly.
Wow, you weren't joking. We're really stretching at this point, huh?
Asteroid M. Fuck, marry, kill. I will go first to give my guests time to think about their answers.
I'm locked and loaded, baby. Let's go.
Okay, I'm gonna marry Bishop because I would love to time travel with him. Much like I said, I love Doctor Who. It would be like a Doctor Who relationship. And then I'm going to fuck Asteroid M. I would like to see how that would go. It's a pretty iconic piece of X-Men lore. I want to fuck Magneto's mansion, his space mansion, and then I'm gonna kill President Kelly. What a piece of shit. What a horrendously bigoted piece of shit. I will break his glasses and then I will put him in a blender. That's what I'll do. No, let's go to Jesse Kendall. Jesse Kendall, who are your picks?
I would marry Bishop as well. I mean, the time travel element, like, come on, you can do anything. Vacations are taken to a whole new level. I may fuck President Kelly to get his secrets and hopefully just sway his mind on some things.
Oh, wow.
In our little one night stand. Just
The Monica
offensive.
Lewinsky to President Kelly.
Yeah, I'd Monica Lewinsky him. I'd suck him
You
into
look great.
walls.
Yeah, blue is a great color on you, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and I'd kill Asteroid M.
Okay.
Hey, take care of that. Kill it safely.
Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't like destroy the earth.
Yeah.
Unlike your little hoe, President Kelly.
Hey,
Fair.
You can't judge my selections here. It's a hard choice.
I mean, you're right. I shouldn't, but I do it. Alex Honnet, please.
Okay, well,
bring the season to a close.
You've put me into this impossible position. I'll go backwards. I'm killing Bishop. I'm killing him. He's a minor. He's been minimized quite a bit. He has some useful time traveling powers, but ultimately, at the end of the day, like someone who knows what's going to happen potentially and still is like so cucked they can't fix it. I'm not interested in that kind of energy.
Did you say cucked?
He's future cucked. You know what I mean? Is like the future is fucking him over and there's nothing he can do about it. It's just like fucking his life over and over. The future is just fucking his life, but he is just sitting there watching it happen with his hands folded in his laps, trying his best, but nothing can happen. I'm not into that kind of energy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fuck Asteroid M. A nice little beautiful paradise in the sky that I can go and be and fuck for a while, and then return to my real life. That's like a dream. There's no way we're going to cross paths again. They're out there in space doing their thing. What a palatial place to sort of just visit one time and then come back, recharge and refresh. And I'm marrying President Kelly because I have learned that maybe being inside the system isn't the most effective way to get things done in the short term, but long term, through commitment and your best efforts, you can sometimes affect real change. And I'm not afraid of that kind of hard work. So I'm marrying President Kelly to try to create the best possible future for human and mutant kind.
Smart. I'm gonna change mine to his.
No, Jesse, you can't. Damn it, Alex. No, you can't. You've been recorded.
President Kelly is daddy for me, is what I'm saying.
Same too.
I hope your President Kelly turns into the fish version of Senator Kelly from the first X-Men movie, and then you just got this gelatinous puddle you have to deal with. All right.
Trust me, when I'm done with him, he's going to be a gelatinous puddle.
That brings the season to a close. I've been having the best time of my life with X-Men 97. I love the show so much. It is thought-provoking. It justifies the amount of time and hours I spent on the original series in the 90s, and I feel smarter as an adult. So truly, thank you to all my guests who have been on. I've never done an episode by episode recap of a show, and if you're listening to this, it is well past the finale. So thank you for sticking with it. And happy June, everyone. But specifically for right now, special thank you to my guests, Jesse and Alex. Jesse Kendall, where can people find you online? Got any of these hilarious videos you're doing?
Yeah, my Instagram is at Jesse_Kendall, and I love making videos. So follow me on there.
They're so funny. Jesse's videos are consistently so good and a very prolific output. So you can rest assured you'll see a lot of funny shit all the time.
Thanks, Alex. That's
Agreed.
very kind of you.
Alex Honnet, where can we find you in your Daffy Duck tank and hat?
I'll be in wine country next weekend with my hat, getting tilted off of white wine and Pinot Noir. No,
Weird combo.
I don't have much output on the internet. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm doing a crazy diet right now, trying to get really strong. You can follow along with that. And then I host Alan Giles and Trent Jozer's show, Mandatory Improv, on Thursdays. It's fantastic. I do that from time to time. And then I host a show called Old Dogs vs. Wild Hogs, the first Saturday of every month at the Clubhouse. It's just a fun mashup improv show. Sometimes Jesse and Damon do it. They're both very, very funny. And it's a good time.
Thank you. I would co-sign. You can follow this podcast on Instagram and TikTok at podcast616P3. That P3 stands for Press Play Podcasts. You can also follow this podcast host, Damon Royster, at on Instagram and TikTok at Black Chandler. Black is spelled BLK. Chandler is spelled like Chandler Bing. I think my campaign fund should be over by the time this podcast comes out. But hey, you can always Venmo me money for my short film, Surgeons, which will be great. Producer Michael, if you want to hop on the mic real quick, 10 episodes of this podcast, what letter grade would you give this finale episode?
You guys already knew the A+ was coming.
Whoa!
You already knew.
And also, I gotta say, X-Men 97 is an A+, and it's probably the show of the year. I'm not gonna lie.
Agreed. No lies. We don't lie on podcast 616. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Jesse, Kendall.
Excuse me?
Thank you. I almost said Anthony. Thank you all for doing this show. Thank you everyone for listening. We're going to take a break. I think I'll be back later this summer for a new franchise we haven't done, calling it Hulk Girl Summer. We'll see you then. And until that time, please remember that with great power comes even greater responsibility.